My parents came to this country from India over 50 years ago. Growing up, I often heard stories about how they started with nothing. My father came to the US first to finish his master's degree. He spoke of living in studio apartments with many other students in order to make his meager finances stretch to the limit. When he finished his studies, he called my mother over to join him in the United States. I was born in 1973, and my mother tells me stories about watching me very carefully as a baby because I would take bugs off the floor and eat them. Having enough of this, they desperately scratched together enough money to buy a house in the Chicago suburbs. I went to decent public schools, worked hard, and got into a good college. I completed 3 undergraduate degrees and a master's degree before finding a good job at a decent school. I got married, bought a nice house, and had a couple of kids. I believed that my parents had started with nothing, and through hard work and perseverance, they had achieved enough success to allow me the ability to do my own hard work and achieve my own success. Only recently did I realize that that was a lie. You see, they didn't come to this country with nothing. They came to this country with everything that's actually important. They had family, faith, and friends. First, they had each other. But marriage in India was more than a temporal romantic agreement. It was a powerful social contract forged very carefully between 2 compatible families. Compatibility was assessed in family values because personalities can change over time, but values remain. Family values are a universal concept around the world. I remember when my extended family went to visit my German-Irish fiance's family on their small farm in rural Illinois. After talking for a great while, my uncle pulled me aside and said with a smile, "These are our people." I thought I didn't care what my family's opinion was about my choice of a spouse, but I realized that it did matter what they thought. My parents also brought faith with them, a faith rich in understanding that duties are not chains that bind you, but pathways that guide you through life. They had more than religious faith. They had an unbounded belief that they were just small players in the greater course of history. They believed that the sacrifice and suffering of their young adulthood would lay the strong foundation for a future family. How starkly does that contrast to how college graduates live today? Finally, my parents had friends. They immersed themselves in strong communities of other immigrants for mutual support. They also were really good neighbors, reaching out to people in the neighborhood and making sure myself and my brother called everyone uncle this and aunt that. It fostered a good sense in me about how neighbors are just part of your extended family. Without that intangible wealth, my parents would have crumbled under the pressure of trying to get through with very few resources in a strange new world. But our world has relegated the value of this kind of moral capital out of existence. My parents had moral capital that allowed me to build my financial security. George Floyd's death sparked a lot of protests around the nation in similar ways to other police killings. But this time, something really struck me. George Floyd was 46. I'm 46. What if I had been born into his life and he into mine? In how many ways was George's family tree stripped of moral capital first by slavery and then by institutionalized racism? It made me see this injustice in a new light and also asked me to consider what to really do about it. For years, I have heard that we need to A, throw more money at the problem of racism, or B, racism really isn't an issue anymore. The real problem is poverty, and what we need to do is let free enterprise fix the issue. In my mind, both of these are false reconciliations. Real reconciliation requires shared suffering and sacrifice. The rebuilding of trust demands hard work and a deeper commitment to developing moral capital. The first step in this process is committing to the common good. Of course, this will have an economic component, but we can't stop there. The real component is battling all of the forces in the world that threaten to make us into individuals when really we were meant to be communities. This is why I will be asking people to vote for Brian Carroll for President of the United States. Brian is a husband, a father, and a grandfather. He knows the value of family. As a teacher, he often saw what broken families would do to his students. Brian was a missionary. He holds to his faith that tells him that there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. Brian believes in community. He forges community. His steadfast leadership in the American Solidarity Party garnered him the votes to be our presidential nominee. Voting for Brian Carroll is not a protest vote. It is a vote for a consistent life ethic, that human life has dignity from the womb to the tomb. It is a vote for distributism, the economic ideal that more people should own the product of their own labor. It is a vote of recognition that human beings do not thrive as individuals. We are not meant to simply be consumers and workers in a meaningless economy. We are not meant to simply be hedonists seeking our own pleasure at the cost of our dignity. Those aren't freedoms. Those are snares. Those are the easy ways. The hard road is less traveled. If you believe the bonds of faith, family, and friends best secure us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then vote for Brian Carroll for the next President of the United States. Thank you.